Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And in today's video, we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite fragrances for the spring of 2019. And this is going to be my niche list, so stay tuned. Before I begin the video, I do want to give a very special thank you to ScentSplit.com. They are the paid sponsors of this video. I really do appreciate you sponsoring this video. They are a fantastic website to use if you're looking to purchase niche decants at a very affordable price. Of course, with a lot of the fragrances featured in this list, they are a little bit more on the pricey side. And so if you can go about sampling them, if you can find some means to sample these fragrances before you commit to purchasing a full bottle, that would obviously be the wise choice. And so ScentSplit carries almost all of these fragrances, not all of these fragrances, and so they really just wanted the shout out. So thank you to my good friend Shaheen, who is the owner of ScentSplit.com. He also happens to be a very good friend of mine, so thank you so much for sponsoring this video. I really do appreciate it. Fantastic website. I've used them personally. And before anybody jumps the gun and says, oh, this list is not going to be honest or accurate because they're sponsoring the video, these are all fragrances from my collection. He has not sent me any of the fragrances in this collection. These are all fragrances that I have acquired by my own means. And also, he doesn't even carry all of the fragrances in this list. And to add to that, I told him what fragrances I was going to feature in this list 2 weeks prior to shooting this list so that he can go out and buy them so that he can start carrying them. So Shaheen, thank you so much for doing that. This is an honest list 100% as I've always done it. So let's go ahead and start things off. My number 10 fragrance. This is one that I love wearing right around this time of the year because there's something about it that's a little light, but there's also this heaviness in the base that kind of, it's a nice transition fragrance. So you're coming from really, really cold weather into seemingly warm weather, but there's still that undertone of cold out there. And so right now it's like in the, surprisingly, we're having a really nice day today. It's in the 50s. And so this one from the house of Tiziana Terenzi is called Orion. Those of you who know this fragrance know that this is their version of Aventus, I guess you can say. Kind of has the Aventus gene in here, but it has this noticeably woodsy base. So it has this bright, fresh, sort of pineapple-y, citrusy opening, but then it does dry down to this woodsy base that I think is really, really nice. And so if you're looking for a woodsier version of Aventus, not something too heavy either, definitely check this one out. Great for when the weather is just starting to get warm outside. So the next fragrance in this list is one that I acquired some time back. Every time I put this fragrance on, I can expect to get compliments from people. Now, of course, I'm not in it for the compliments, but it's always nice when somebody compliments you on what you're wearing. It's a mood enhancer, it's a spirit lifter. It always makes me feel joyous, I guess you can say. And this is a fragrance that has a great deal of freshness. You have the bergamot, you have the complexity of various notes in here. And this one is another fragrance that you're not any stranger to if you've been watching videos on YouTube for some time now. And this one from the house of Roja Parfums is called Elysium. Now, I do have the stronger concentration of the two. The cologne variant is found in the blue bottle. I actually really prefer this one. I like the performance that I get from this one. Very solid performance, both longevity and projection. I love the house of Roja Parfums. Everything they put out just really, really resonates with me. I know a lot of their fragrances have more of like an antique classic sort of a vibe to them, but this one is very youthful, very modern. It has that freshness in the opening, and that freshness is lingering in the scent as it progresses as well. So number 9 on my list, I absolutely love this one, Elysium from the house of Roja Parfums. Number 8 on this list is a fragrance that came out not too long ago. It is one of the newest fragrances that this company has put out, and this is a modern take on a fougere fragrance, and so it does contain lavender. This one from the house of Parfums de Marly is called Percival. So this fragrance contains not only lavender, but it also has a bit of geranium in here. And I really think that it's the geranium in combination with this unique note known as ice flower or frost flower, which is basically frozen sap, like ribbons of frozen sap that is found on the base of certain plants in the late autumn and winter as well. And so that kind of, in conjunction with the geranium, like I was saying, gives this fragrance somewhat of like a minty vibe. So this is a really interesting and modern take on fougere fragrances with that minty touch in there that separates it from other fragrances in that genre. So Percival from the house of Parfums de Marly. Number 7 on this list is a fragrance that I recently acquired, but I have been wearing a lot of it. It actually contains a tea note in here that I think makes the fragrance very grounding and meditative, but it also is combined with a little bit of citrus to make it very appealing and very craveable for this time of the year. And this one by Kierin NYC is called Sunday Brunch. Really interesting fragrance. There's another one from this house that I really enjoy called 10 a.m. Flirt. The only thing with that fragrance is that it has a fig note in there, and I've been experimenting with a lot of other fig-based scents, and there is one fig-based scent in this collection, or in this list I should say, that I actually like perhaps a little bit more than 10 a.m. Flirt, but I absolutely love Sunday Brunch. If you haven't tried this one, check it out. So the next one on this list is that fig-based scent that I was talking to you about. This is from a brand that I recently discovered, very well-known perfumer. I'm sure many of you have probably heard the name before. I've sampled everything that this house has to offer, and this was actually my favorite from the collection. This is a fig-based scent, and the house is Antiqua Firenze, and this is called Fico Fiorentino, which translates to Florentine fig. And the perfumer for this fragrance is Enzo Gallardi. He also happens to be the perfumer for Boyce 1920 and Iocco 1954. This is such an incredible fig-based scent, and I'm very fond of fig fragrances. I used to have a fig tree in my backyard. I used to live in Greece for many years, and I would probably say my favorite fig-based scent is Philosikos by Diptyque, but this one takes a very close second spot. So now we're getting into the top 5 favorite fragrances of mine for the spring season. And usually when I'm making a distinction between spring and summer, I typically veer for the more citrusy scents towards the summertime. And I kind of make it so that the fragrances that are in my spring list have a bit of like a floral accent to them. That doesn't always work out. And of course, it's not always preferred that they be floral. As a matter of fact, I do find a lot of floral notes like narcissus and freesia and ylang ylang. While some of them can come across as tropical, I also find some of them to be inherently feminine, even though I do think that perfume has no gender. But this is one that is floral, and this is one that contains the note of orange blossom. And every single time that I think of spring, this is one that comes to mind just because it sort of marries the two elements of being citrusy but also being floral, and it's on account of that orange blossom note. This is probably the best orange blossom fragrance that I've ever smelled in my life, and this is from the house of L'Artisan Parfumeur, and this is called Sevilla Lobe. And even if you take a look at the color of the liquid in the bottle, it just goes to show you that when you have something that's so pigmented, typically it correlates or corresponds with the way that it smells. And this one, it certainly does. The performance is there, the smell is there, it's hearty and chunky. I personally really love this one. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I know I've been talking about it on my channel for a long time now. I highly recommend that you go out there and do so. So number 4 on my list has made my list year after year after year. A lot of people call this one the king of spring, but this is one, in my honest opinion, that I could have very easily made number 1, as I've done in previous years, but that would take away some of the fun of this list. Plus, I have sort of given this one a backseat, although I do wear it an incredible lot in the spring. This is one that I really need to take a backseat approach with, because there are a lot of other fragrances that I do discover throughout the seasons, and so I want to give them more of a chance to be featured in this list, but also I need to test them for review purposes. So this is, of course, Green Irish Tweed from the House of Creed. You're probably no stranger to this one. Lemon verbena, violet. It's just a fresh, citrusy, sort of floral, yet enveloping composition. And it's a very green composition as well, if the name didn't connote that. But this is a wonderful scent. So if you haven't tried Green Irish Tweed, I would highly recommend that from the House of Creed. And of course, Aventus and Virgin Island Water happen to be 2 of my favorites from the house as well. And let's not forget Elysium Imperial. The next one on this list is a fragrance that I discovered almost a year ago, and this is one that I've been wearing on and off. I think this one does really, really well when there's a little briskness in the air, and that's on account of a lot of the darker, more woodsy elements to the fragrance. I know it contains cedar wood, but it's a nice contrast because this next fragrance also contains the note of mint. There's also something in there, it's not listed as a note, at least not on LuckyScent.com, but there's also something in there that kind of smells like almond to me, and almond is one of my favorite notes in perfumes. That's why I like Hypnotic Poison by Dior. That's why I like any number of other almond-based scents. And this one is just one to add to the list. This one is from the House of Oud, and this one is called Cypress Shade. Such a gorgeous bottle. It's actually hand painted, and I personally really love this one. I actually did a video with my good friend in which we featured it on a list for the top, I think it was the top 20 best formal fragrances. This definitely has a formal character about it. This is the type of fragrance that I would love to wear in a suit and tie when I'm really trying to get other people's attention, when I'm dressed to impress. There's just something about this fragrance that is so darn unique. I've never smelled anything like it before, and I'm not likely to encounter anything like it again unless someone decides to clone it. But this is such a wonderful scent. If you haven't tried Cypress Shade, of course there is cypress in there, and it also has this sort of bright and minty vibe about it as well, and sort of that disparity. It seems like those two notes would be diametrically opposed, but that disparity is what I think makes it so great for the spring as opposed to dead of winter or dead of summer. The number 2 fragrance on this list is one that I've been wearing a lot lately. I just have to be very careful with what I'm wearing shirt-wise when I do wear this one, because this one actually has gold flakes inside the bottle. And so this is one from the house of Atelier de Choeur, and this one is called Choeur des Anges. And the name translates to the Choir of Angels. And what a fitting name for this composition. The only 2 notes that you really need to keep in mind for this one are blood orange and honey. It's such a bright, fresh, inviting scent, but you also have this mellifluous tone in the base that is, of course, brought forth by the honey. It's a very well put together composition, and everything that this house put out has really interested me. Rose Umayyad, Bois Saccard, Crépuscule des Âmes, everything that they put out has been so brilliant. And so if you haven't had a chance to check this out, please do. This is number 2 on my list, Choeur des Anges. And now it's time for the number 1 fragrance on this list. This is one that has undergone a lot of deliberation. I really had to think about it. What would make the number 1 fragrance on this list the number 1 fragrance? And so there are certain criteria that needed to be checked off. And so one, I think it had to be fitting for the spring, and so it has to have some sort of either floral or wispy nature about it that would make it evocative of the spring season. 2, the performance had to be really good for the temperature that's out there, and so it's still rather cold in New Jersey where I live, although today is in the 50s. And 3, it has to be a very addictive smell, something that I love wearing, something that I gravitate towards, and also something that caters to my personal taste. And all things considered, this is by far, hands down, one of my favorite fragrances for the spring of 2019. Today, making it my number 1 spot. This is one that I would highly urge people to check out. And also, if you haven't checked out this house, you really owe it to yourself to check out this house. This is one, yeah, I'm gonna be wearing this one a lot for sure. This is from the house of Initio, and this fragrance is called Blessed Baraka. So this fragrance contains sandalwood, vanilla, amber, musk, and white flowers. So the floral aspect of this one is just so gorgeous. It's so well done. It's so well pieced together. The best comparison that I can give you is if you've ever smelled Leighton from Parfums de Marly. If you can imagine a lesser sweet, more floral version of that. Just very sensual, very addictive, very inviting. This is the perfect fragrance to wear in the spring if you're going out on a date. It's very sensual, it's very magnetic, but this is also a fragrance that can be pulled off very easily. It doesn't have this abundance of florals that would put it in feminine territory. Also, in terms of the white florals that are used, it's not like there's so much jasmine in here that would put it in indolic or barnyard territory. It's such a perfect balance of different notes. I can't recommend it enough. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. These have been my top 10 favorite spring fragrances for 2019, and this has been my niche list. And once again, I would also like to give a very special thank you to ScentSplit for sponsoring this video. They are an incredible website that I have personally used in the past. They carry a lot of hard to find designer and niche fragrances, mostly niche, and they even have some discontinued fragrances in there as well. And they carry 8 out of the 10 fragrances in this list. I'm gonna leave links down below, so definitely check them out. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate you guys. Also, let me know, what are your favorite fragrances to wear for the spring. You can leave your favorite, you can leave your top 5 favorite, or you can leave your top 10 favorite down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you are new to this channel and you did take something of value from this video, I would really appreciate your subscription. All you have to do is click the red subscribe button in the corner, and this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it will get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads or having to search up my name or anything like that. Thanks again for watching. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.